Wade is guarding Bryant. Artest looking, gets it to Bryant. Bryant dribbling, has to put it up with the buzzer. Banks it in! He banks in the three! And the Lakers win the game!
Good morning. What's happening, Syndicate members? Guess what? It's Wednesday again. My boy over there.
Oh,
over there. Always try to, the guy over there sporting his new Syndicate gear. Love
Yes,
it. Our
sir.
made member shirt that we put out for 8% this year at the Syndicate Suite. Bunch of you got a copy of that one, and we are officially sold out of that merchandise. So don't be hitting us up for more.
It went quick. It was hot off the press, but yes, definitely more to come. Shout out to J.R. Wood. I think you're in the group now. He is our we're going to call him our Syndicate apparel rep because he is who knocked out over 50 units for us, did so in less than 2 weeks, custom synthetic blend. It was awesome, man. So shout out to you, JR. Thank you, man. If anybody has any custom apparel needs, hit up JR Wood. He is here with BC Apparel in the group. So thank you guys. Thanks to everybody.
Does all your softball stuff, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Your softball jerseys are lit. So, I mean, his talent is knows no bounds.
He's Brian wants one of my hats. I can get you actually one of these too. I don't think JR did these, but I can get some hats for him too. And maybe we'll have like a little raffle, a little giveaway or something for some Syndicate gear. So, well, what's going on? Everybody, hey, real quick, Facebook user, thank you for telling me I look good, but I can't actually say thank you because I don't know who you are. Let StreamYard view your comments. It is in the description of the show, and it's just StreamYard.com/Facebook, and it allows us to get your name up here, like Mr. Brian Moore. So, guys, we got an awesome show for you. We actually don't have a guest today, so it's just going to be me and Tony. And honestly, it's just been kind of my role this week. But before we get into it, we're going to talk all about recruiting and really attracting, recruiting, and keeping talent within your agency, within your business. Okay, but before we get there, weekly win. If you've got a good weekly, well, if you have just a weekly win, not a good one. I guess if it's a win, it's a good one. So put your weekly win in the comments. We want to celebrate with you. My win is that I slept in my house last night. So some of y'all saw my post a couple days ago on Monday morning. Man, I woke up. I had myself quite a Monday morning. As far as we had our AC fan, the coil actually rusted through up in the attic. And so that had been leaking into our ceiling through the attic, whatever, the entire night. Come out the morning, and it's like, okay, there's like a hole. It's like I'm like, I can't tell if this whole thing's about to come down. There's water, like a freaking waterfall going down into the main floor. And got up in the attic. I was up in my underwear up in the attic. And then I was like, maybe I shouldn't be going too far over into this thing because, like, what if I just fall through the freaking ceiling? So later that day, the ceiling actually came down, and so we had to turn off all the water, all the AC. You guys know we're here in Austin, Texas, so it was a hot one. But shout out to we had some really good friends, Tyler and Carolyn Musa, who instantly, like within a minute's notice, let us come over there. Brought our whole family, our kids, my dog, cooked us dinner, and had a place to stay. And
were you in your underwear then too, or just?
I was not. Yeah, just in the attic. Just in the attic.
But no, man. Some clothes on.
I did because I had to train a lot of agents, and so. But that's my other win. We have been crazy active this past week, just doing agent training for new in-house people, new agents that are joining Redwood at a different side of things, and it's just been amazing, man. I mean, I've had like 5 to 6 hours every day of back-to-backs, like just no breaks, just getting after it. So it's even in the midst of a Monday morning, right, in a hole in my house, I'm rocking and rolling, man, feeling blessed and super fortunate. So those are my wins. What you got, Mr. Merwin?
Check out real quick though. Check out Erin Lovett's win that she posted down here. Look at that.
Come
10
on now.
champ group presentations with referral partners.
And
That's
working
gangster
with
right
a group
there.
partner on a landing page with AI for large groups. Nice. I like that. I was actually just
Smart
talking to
chick.
Guilfoyle last night. Congrats, Aaron. That's awesome.
Yeah, good job, Aaron. My weekly win falls right into kind of the topic that we're going to be talking about today in regards to recruiting. In the last week and a half, I've pretty much tripled the external agent count for Avila. We were running at we had about 10, 12 agents in a few states. Now
Freaking love that.
we have 45 agents in our downline, so to speak. And then we're probably going to triple that again by the end of the year. So it would not surprise me if by the time we get to the close of 2023, Vila's probably working with about 100 to 120 agents out there running around in the field doing their thing that we're supporting. So super happy about that right now.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, just 3X'd it in like a couple weeks. It's like, well, hell, probably in 1 week. How many did you have this week already?
This week we had right at like 24, 25 agents roll in.
Sick, dude. That is awesome, man. Well, kudos to y'all on that. I know that's you're gearing up. I love that, and really,
Gearing up, baby.
You know, you talking about that, and really just kind of and what this show is going to be about, guys. And again, it's how we're really attracting, recruiting, but here's the biggest thing. I think anybody could kind of attract, or hey, Tony's got an amazing product, right? And that's why I think that's the attractive piece, right? Obviously, Merwin, he knows how to recruit. But then the real goal, guys, is to keep them, right? Anybody can bring them in the door, but are you keeping talent? Are you letting rock stars, slip through? And so that's kind of what we want to take some time to talk about with you guys. I guess real quick, another weekly win. She's not on with us this morning, but she will start hopping on the shows here 5 days a week. We actually got a virtual assistant for Syndicate Media. So her name is Lily. You guys will meet her a little bit later on. We have a team call here wrapping up the show or after the show. And so we have a virtual assistant now to really, and I use the term VA, but really she's a team member. And we're super excited to have her on board. She's got a marketing background. So she's going to be helping with moderation of the group and really just helping us kind of take these podcasts to the next level. So shout out to Lily. I know you're a little preoccupied right now. I won't share why, but we're super excited to have you on the team. And shout out to Rob Lopez. That's through Viva VA. So that's what I love. I think a lot of people think virtual assistants are kind of just meant for the insurance stuff. And like, I love that now, like we're really, again, incorporating her into this media side. And I mean, you saw that task list. I was like, dang, I didn't realize how much I was doing in this group and in the YouTube and the shorts and all that until I like wrote it all out. And I was like, dang, this is going to be awesome to have another team member to help me with some of this. So
absolutely.
We're super excited to have her. So real quick, just wanted to give her a shout out. Thank you, Lily. And looking forward to it. Definitely. So without further ado, Tony, I kind of wanted to let you kind of kick it off, and let's start with the how to really attract talent. I think you've had years more of recruiting and again, really attracting that top tier talent. And again, I guess when I say talent, like we're really looking for that 1%, right? And so how are you able to attract that? Let's just start there. We'll keep it super broad and then kind of just bounce off each other.
Let's take it back to the very beginning before I'm known, right? Before anybody knows who I am, right? Because that's one part of attraction is becoming a person of interest, right? And yes. I've spent the last 10 years trying to develop that within the wholesale space in Medicare. So when it first started out, I wasn't attractive. Nobody knew who the hell I was, which makes it difficult in that regard. So you have to look for opportunities to present yourself as attractive. Like, what's your value proposition? Is it the FMO that you're brokering for? Is that what's attractive? Is it the products, the tools, the solutions? Is that what's attractive? In this particular case that we've been that you mentioned that we used to grow our agent base recently, I've not really stumbled into, but it's a product that, and you guys heard me talk about it, I think a while back. There was a product right before I left Precision Senior Marketing that I helped develop. It was a hospital indemnity product that's put out by United Healthcare and Golden Rule. Super, super hot looking product. I was involved in the development of it right before I left PSM last year, and I hadn't heard anything about it. There was no follow-up. And I know sometimes products take a little while to to materialize. There's a lot of back and
Right.
forth, actuaries crunching numbers and trying to get it all just right before release day. So I'd actually kind of forgotten about it. And then thankfully, I was awoken last Monday. Yeah, I think it was last Monday. It was the 8th, and was told, hey, that product that you helped put together launches today. I'm like, oh, thanks for the 8-minute heads up. I appreciate that. And I knew that was an opportunity for, again, to position myself attractive to the independent agent. So, I mean, the first thing that ultimately you have to do is you got to know who your ideal recruit is so that you can make yourself attractive to them. And everybody's ideal recruit's different, right? My ideal recruit for Avila in most cases, and it's the same thing that I've always done when I was in the wholesale space, I'm primarily looking for agents that already know the business. I'm not having to teach them every nut and bolt of Medicare. I'm not having to teach them how to necessarily prospect, et cetera. I might be able to massage and coach them and take what they're already doing and help point them in better directions. But ultimately, I'm looking for someone who's already knows the business. And they're looking for a better partner, a better widget, a better product, a better commission level, better support, better co-op dollars, better online tools, whatever it might be.
Right.
What's that value proposition that I can bring to them? And in this particular case, well, it's a hot ass product that nobody else really has. So I'm involved in the exclusive distribution of it, which helps out. And then I just immediately picked up the phone, worked my relationships, and got it out there to everybody that I know as fast as I could. And then one of the other tricks in the wholesale, and again, this is a wholesale. If you're an independent agent out there, this is not necessarily going to apply to you until maybe you or the agency that you're working for or with or collaborating with contracts grow to a level that you can acquire larger level talent, right? If you're in the insurance, and this is always a little different in the P&C space. Like y'all's world blows me away. So everything that I'm saying doesn't necessarily apply to Joe's side of the business.
I'll cover the P&C stuff.
Right. But in the life and health space, right, there's contractual hierarchy built in. All these levels or all these carriers have built-in levels. So as you grow and you obtain higher levels, that doesn't just mean that you earn more commission. That means that now you have room to recruit and train agents. And the larger your contract gets, the larger agent that you can get. So because I'm in a position where I'm an FMO on this product, I'm able to talk to larger agencies, right? MGA level and SGA level agencies that aren't just one guy. They maybe have 50 agents. Maybe they have 100 agents. Maybe they have 150 agents. So ultimately, at first thing, again, identify your ideal recruit. Who's the ideal person? For me, the ideal person on that product is someone that has a group of agents, right? And they can instantly bring in production for me.
I think you had a really good point, though, right? Is the first thing when it comes to being the attractive, right, is becoming that person of interest. Or Arturo was just on his spot. He was talking about being a person of influence as well. So I think they're very similar in that. I think going back to even probably how you started, right? And Aaron, I'm going to give you a shout out, Aaron, because I know that you're very, this goes back to another thing that Arturo said, very synonymous to the things that you do. People need to know, you need to be synonymous with those things. Everybody knows that Aaron Lovett does insurance, right? And I think you do an amazing job, Aaron. So shout out to you, because how do you really, and again, that's more on the client side, right? But as she goes to build a team, right? Anybody that's maybe looking for a different opportunity, whatever it is, she's just talking about it, right?
Yeah.
And I look back to how I've gotten, or let's go back to Hanky. I mean, my day one, right, is I'm just calling him, and I was like, hey, I'm getting ready to move to Texas to do this insurance thing. Like, I'm having this going away party. You should come through. And he's like, I can't, man. And I was like, why? And he's like, I'm working. And he was grinding 6 to 7 days a week at Enterprise, was in the management training to try and get to that management role, right, whatever. And I was like, dude, man, if you applied the work ethic that you're doing at Enterprise and insurance, man, like you would kill it. And I really think you could, like, I will give you a seat and allow you to do that if you want, right? I'm just talking about it. He knows I've been in insurance for however many years now at that point. Dude, like 2 weeks later, the homie calls me. I don't have a house yet. We don't even have an office yet. And he's like, hey, man, I just put in my 2 weeks. Is it cool if my buddy Cam comes too? Because he wants to get into insurance and move to Texas. And I was like, oh, shit. I'm like, I need to find a house. I need to find an office. I mean, we literally started it, right, in the loft of our freaking house. But the coolest thing is literally all it was I just brought it up. I just talked about it with people, and I love another to coin, just keep kind of doing some phrases is Roger Short, he says the come and see, right? Like really let people know what you freaking do, right? And that's, again, it works on the client side, but this 100% works on the recruiting side and again, attracting talent. And when I talk about talent too, what Tony's talking about, his client or his ideal avatar when it comes to recruiting, I almost like them green, right? I like them without the inexperience because then they come to me without all the bad habits. And again, I think there's a balance. Now, would I prefer a licensed person that kind of knows how to quote? Yeah, sure. Right. And then I can help build kind of more on the business and the marketing strategies versus here's where to put a name and a number. But at the same time, even having some of that greenness where it's like, well, hey, at least they don't know how to manipulate the system and I can teach them how to quote, just because their brain's spanking new. And so again, I think it really is, guys, let people know what you're doing. Again, it works on the client side, but it definitely works on the agent side where you just have to let them know what you're doing. And when you're doing so in a way that is of Aaron Levitt, who's putting all this good energy out there, you will attract what you put out there. Right. And so again, 100%. If you're not putting anything out there, put it out there.
Grace, my wife, Grace, is also a very good example of this. Anybody that follows her on social media, she puts out a pretty damn good chunk of content between her YouTube channel, her Facebook page, both her personal and her professional Facebook page. She's got 2 Instagram pages of her personal and professional. She has a TikTok channel, and she is constantly shooting content out across all of those mediums. Certainly it attracts customers, but it's attracted agents as well. She hasn't made any real effort to recruit any agent yet, like on her own effort. But people are seeing what she's doing. Mm-hmm. They find her attractive. I mean, let's be honest, she is pretty damn attractive, but they find her attractive. They find what she's doing attractive. They see that there's opportunity. They don't see other people necessarily doing what she's doing. So they're like, well, damn, I want some of that action. And she's had agents reach out to her that are now working with us in some capacity just through exactly that, just by showing people what you do. And just, I love Roger Short's statement like that you brought up. Come and see. Just come and take a look at what we're doing.
Yep.
When
I think. Go ahead.
I was going to say before I got into insurance, that was a big means of how we recruited. We would grab people, we would bring them in, we'd give them just a short interview, and then we'd be like, look, come and see, watch a full day with one of our sales reps in the field. Like it was the ultimate come and see. Like you're going to spend 6 to 8 hours with this dude, watching exactly what he's doing. We can kind of interview you for 6 hours, see if we think you have what it takes to handle that kind of work ethic, and you get to see the job up close and personal to see if it's what you want to be doing or think you can do. Insurance is a little different in that regards, but the come and see, you can. Joe said it best. Just talk about it. Get it out there so people can see it, and they're gonna.
And I think it's perfect. When what I was gonna say is exposure. I think that's the one thing. Now we need to be careful with how much maybe you expose a potential recruit to right out the gate. Like don't throw so many shiny objects at them right out the gate, right? And we're gonna kind of get into talking about processes and systems. I'm literally going to talk about, hey, here is like when I get somebody new, this is what I do and how I bring them in, right? But I think again, it's that exposure piece. Bring them around, have them come sit, even if they're not licensed yet. Have them come sit in the office for a day and see what it's like, right? Take them to Top Golf with the team and kind of get a vibe, get some of the culture, right? But it is that exposure to what we bring them to an event, right? You really want to give them some exposure is bring them to an event. But I think that exposure piece, right? It allows them to see past, the blinders of, oh, they're in insurance. Oh, those sleazeballs, those slimy little insurance people, it's like I pay them for 20 years and I never even had an accident and I took a rating, just people's general perception of now it's getting better, right? And then obviously, and again, that depends on what we're putting out there, depending on how people view you, right? And what you do in insurance. But a lot of the times it's like, oh, like, even again, this is on the recruiting side. Oh, they're robots, right? And then it's like, well, you bring them in and they're like, damn, like this is actually pretty cool. I think I kind of want to do insurance, man. So that exposure piece is a big part too. Now I want to talk about, okay, so now you're putting this stuff out. Where are you getting them from? Where I have found a lot of success is literally within my local community. Now, again, there's obviously 1,000 ways to get in front of people. I don't do it the paid way, right? I use what I'm gifted with, which is a freaking mouth, right? I can use this sucker all day, right? And then I'm kind of planting myself, and really all it was Austin, right? So I'll talk about Austin. And kind of how that worked. I mean, he's been my top producer from day one. Within his first, I think we were just talking about it yesterday, his first 2 weeks ever with us in insurance, he wrote like 40K because we got him into trucking right out the gate, right? But where did I find him, right? Where should you be talking about this? Anywhere that's local in your community, man. And so he was on a softball team of mine, and this was when it was league ball. We weren't even doing the whole tournament thing or any of that, which then Austin I got connected through Cam is who I talked to, who moved down here. And then now we're doing softball and turn whatever. Right. But Austin was just like, man, I'm tired of hearing you freaking talk about, what do you do? What do you do, man? Cause obviously you got something good going on, man. Like, what do you do? Right. And it was, again, just having that conversation of, hey man, come check it out, man. And so I think a lot of people struggle with, they try to go the Indeed route. They try to go the paid route. Right. And don't get me wrong. To me, I think that's more of a volume play. LinkedIn can be a source as well. But for me, I really like, because I know what my ideal recruit is, right? I like kind of going, I want somebody in office, right? And don't get me wrong, I'll take a remote person, but right now I'm trying to grow my internal office, right? So why would I be taking on more remote people? And so again, I like to go and kind of plant myself in local kind of, even the restaurant we always go to at Max. I've had conversation with the bartenders because they hear us talk. And I'm like, I would love to have you, because hell, I mean, as much as they hear us talk, they probably could go pass their exam right now. But again, it is just kind of finding those people that are, again, local and within your community that can be in the office. Not necessarily, maybe you don't have to be in here every single day, 9 to 5 type thing. And that also depends on your setup. Are you bringing them on as an employee, right? And I know on your guys' side, is it LOA? There's different ways to set them up, right? But just, again, really, I love that you said that, Tony. Iron out who you actually want on your team. Don't just say yes to everybody that's looking for an opportunity or a job. And that, to me, that's not how you really find talent, right? That's just somebody who typically, why are they looking for a job even though they're a rock star? Like, why are you being recruited? Like, you should be recruiting if you're that much of a rock star, right? So make sure you iron that out before you start throwing a bunch of people at a wall, you find out only a couple of them stick, and then you just wasted a ton of time. So
correct.
That's kind of my 2 cents on that.
Yeah. To further that some more in regards to where you find them, like my ideal recruit, when we talked about my broker channel and my wholesale side of the business, is an agent that's already in the business. I'm not going to find that dude on Indeed. I'm not going to find him on Career Ladder. I'm not going to find him on any job type post because he's already successful in the business. He's not looking for a job. So where am I going to find that person? So going back again, when I was brand new, I had to find data using the Department of Insurance to pull agent list, and I would create filters that could target them. So I knew I was getting closer to my ideal agent that was in the Medicare space, wasn't calling PNC guys that were just on a list somewhere. And then obviously, as things have grown, it's changed. Now my Facebook following is big enough where I can just throw up one post about a new product and get 127 hits on it. They're like, hey, we're interested in that. So it always evolves, but who is your ideal recruit? Who is your ideal target that you want to work with? And then where, as Joe said, are you going to find that person? Are you going to find them in your own community? Are you going to find them on Facebook in your own friends list? Are you going to find them on a job board? When I think about, say, like Alex Sala's business with him and Ollie, their ideal recruit is probably most likely, if I had to guess, someone that's not licensed, because they have an entire plug and play process from beginning to end to get you. How do you get past your license? How do you get trained? This is our process. This is our system. So they're looking for a little different avatar that's probably knows nothing about insurance other than it's something that they buy to cover their own car or their own house maybe. And then they're looking for opportunity. So they have a little different, maybe a broader avatar even, right? Looking for someone's hungry, looking for someone that has opportunity. And then where can I find that person? Is it through an agent placement program? Like I know Alex uses Cody's agent placement program and raves about it. But then there's certainly
I've used that too, and it's crazy.
So, well, you're getting kickbacks on it for free. You get the shakedown.
Yeah. No, and I will say, because you guys heard me talking about, this is how I'm growing my internal team, was through softball. And so I have Austin. All right, Austin was literally cleaning pools before he got into insurance, and now dude's an absolute stud. He's been with us for almost 2 years, 2 years in January. And then, he started talking about it, right? So I'm talking about it. Now I've got somebody who's with Redwood that's talking about it when we're going to this softball stuff. And then Jordan, right? And a lot of you guys have met Jordan at 8%. And so he's with us on that side of things as well. Just because I'm just talking about it. He's like, damn. And you want to talk about exposure. He went to 8% and he's getting his life and health license now because he got exposed to a lot of life and health. And he's like, do you have any problem with me doing that? I said, by all means, dude, go pick up your life and health. I love a PNC and life and health agent put together, especially a new one, right? So no bad habits again. But all that to say, and I know I see the question here, so we're going to answer this here. But I think, obviously, guys, social media is so powerful when it comes to, and again, because of how much your content, if you're trying to recruit or you don't care about remote or in office or anything like that, you're on the big or on the best platform, in my opinion, because of, again, the content and everything that you're putting out there. Anybody that is potentially reaching out or responding, whatever, they're already attracted to you because they've already seen everything. That's why they're reaching out. So I think, I mean, if you're in the recruiting, if you're trying to build, even if it's just 1 or 2 employees, I think sometimes people think recruiting is in like, I've got to build a team of 10 overnight. You don't have to, right? But I promise you, the sooner you add somebody in, 2 hands is, or, a set of 2 hands is better than 1 set, right? Like, why I would rather run a race with 2 people, right, versus 1. I think that made sense. You guys get what I'm saying, though. But
I'm not sure if you were comparing a one-handed person to a two-handed person, or one person with 2 hands to 2 people with 2 hands.
Yes. I'm sorry, guys. Not at all. You guys knew what I was saying, though. But again, the sooner that you can build, the better, in my opinion. Why what I see so many agents that are waiting years to bring on an employee when, man, you could have, imagine where you could have been if you had somebody else helping you that was in the trenches and building with you, even if it was just 1 or 2 people. So again, I think that's super important. Make sure, obviously, you're using your social media, and that, to me, is a perfect way to attract the talent that you're looking for. Okay, so let's see here.
Bit of a squirrel moment, but that made me wonder, if you only had 1 hand, how would you do applause? Would you just slap your own face if you're? I'm not sure. Is that how that works?
Oh my gosh.
All right.
That is not how that works. Moving on. Back to the question. Okay, so I've worked for 2 PNC agencies in my career, 1 in an office and 1 virtually. I found the turnover to be very high and people to be very difficult, especially in the commission-only space. I know best way to grow is to bring people on, but dealing with people in the environment we're in makes it very difficult. How do you combat the headache of dealing with an employee? Well, you have something on that? You want to start on that, Tony?
I was going to say first, what's the specific headache? Is it just the employee himself or herself is the headache? Is it managing the employee? Is it the excuses that an employee gives you of why they can't show up on time, why they can't stay late, why they can't meet the meeting, why they can't hit their quotas? Like, I would say it's probably a little more of, in this one, is what specific headaches are you having trouble with in the employee? If it's the employee themselves and it's just a headache, if having an employee is a headache to you, then maybe having employees isn't the right answer. Right. Maybe it's not the employee. Maybe it's something with you. So I'm not sure exactly how to answer that question, because I'm not. I don't know exactly what the headache is.
I think you're going to have a headache. Just make sure that it's not you having to deal with an employee. You're going to have to deal with employees. That's having an employee, right? So, and don't take that the wrong way, right? We're not really reading into that. Obviously, there could be more to that situation. But for me, I can't view, even if maybe I have a problem with Austin, or it's like, again, you kind of view, you can start to view things with frustration as a headache or whatever, but it ain't Austin, right? It's like, that's part of being just a boss and everything like that. I will say too, you're talking about very high and people to be very difficult, especially in the commission only space. To me, when I'm going in recruiting, I'll go ahead and just share my comp schedules and what I'm doing and how I'm bringing people in is, hey, here's a new business only plan, right? That it's going to take a few years in order to unlock some renewals. So I'll pay you the farm up front. Okay. So I'll pretty much give them the whole first year commission, prorated chargebacks for the first 12 months. Okay. And again, when you're recruiting, people like options, right? Just like us as consumers, we always like to have maybe a couple options, right? So I always say, here's this. And then I have a projection sheet. So if you guys aren't using something, it does help, especially for people that are more inclined to imagery and like a visual learner. I'm that way. So that's why we have a 5-year projection sheet hey, if you go this way, here's what you're going to make at the bare minimum, right? And then you can kind of plug and play your premiums, your goals and stuff. So that'll adjust. So I show them, here's what you're going to make on the new business only plan. Okay. No renewals until at the start of year 3. I will unlock anywhere from 15 to 25% of your renewals. Still continue to pay you the farm of the first year, right? So again, it kind of gives them incentives to stick around. But man, I need money now, right? Versus if I do the renewal plan, where the renewal plan is way less upfront, but then there's obviously that residual that starts within that first year on the back end. And so again, typically when they look at the projection sheet, the new business plan will actually pay them more for the first 3 years than the renewal plan would. And typically, again, I'm on the PNC side, so I'm thinking kind of go aggregator with me, guys. I'm a PNC IMO. If a producer comes to me and they already start kind of going the renewal route, again, I still gave them the 2 options. I'm trying to push them over here to the new business only though, right? Because it's less overhead for me. I'm banking on, now I'm not going to get all the renewals, right? But I'm banking on year 2 for all of their production that I'm bringing that in. Now I can cash infuse into the agency. But that renewal plan, typically, if they're going that route, that's because they're okay with making less upfront because they probably already have some capital. So if they already have some capital, then I kind of start to pivot that question or that conversation into, you sure you don't want to do your own thing? Like, I train all my people the same way. Really, the biggest difference is just the compensation, right? And obviously there's an upfront investment for that, but so that's kind of how we uncover that and kind of potentially maybe find an agent owner, that I call them, right? That's somebody who's running their own business, doing all their own service, versus maybe somebody who's just going to come in and work on the team, on the internal team, right? So give them 2 options. I think that's really important because it lets them choose, and then they feel in control as well, right? So
Facebook user actually had a follow-up. I assume this is the same Facebook user. He said teaching processes, work-life balance, follow-up, and questions. So let's say if the headache is the time it takes you to teach them the processes, record them in Loom. Like, have a database of videos that you can just set them down and go plug in. Here's all of our processes, right?
Yep.
And then maybe you can quiz them on them at the end. For example, work-life balance. Is this your work-life balance, or is this their work-life balance? If it's your work-life balance, I mean, you own a business and you have employees. You probably really don't have work-life balance. Let's just be honest. And if that's
not yet,
not
for a while.
business, not yet.
Right.
And that's, if you're in business, in my opinion, to create a work-life balance for yourself, and like that's your thought, you're probably, just to be direct, I mean, I would say you're in the business for the wrong reasons. Like, we get in this insurance business so that we have a completely lopsided work-life balance later, that it's mostly life and not so much work. But in the beginning, it's going to be a lot more work than it is life balance. Follow-up, you got to stay in front of your people. Ultimately, you want to be in front of your people, and you want to lead your people so that they can basically follow you. You shouldn't have to follow up too much. Your follow-up in most cases, and this is going to depend on maybe where an employee or a team member stage is at in their growth. If they're brand new, you're probably going to check in with them every day. Hey, how was your day? What were the results? Did we get the number of calls that we were expected to hit? Do they have expectations? And the first point, like, do they have a set number of metrics? I know Joe has his team on, and I don't know exactly what it is, 5x5x5 or some number metric that he uses to measure all of his people so that they have their daily activity set. If you have that running, then follow-up is super easy, because then your follow-up at the end of the day is like, did you hit this number? Did you hit this number? Did you hit this number? Okay, now what do we got to work on to make sure we're hitting those numbers next time, right?
Yep.
And then you'll get to a point where you don't have to follow up with them every day. You're following up maybe once a week and looking at their numbers for the week and see how they are. Sometimes you're having to follow up with them directly, and sometimes you're just in the background in your office looking at their metrics going, damn, John's killing it. And then just go give him an attaboy, pay him a little cash bonus even.
I think there's a piece
questions are a little different.
And that's the communication piece, right? So I'm gonna, and sorry, it's Facebook user. I wish I could talk to you directly as well. And Brian, you might be right. It might not be, the employee might not be the right fit. But I will say too, when you're bringing them into something, even like teaching processes, it's time consuming, but take the time, right? I don't like to spend time showing people where to put a name and a number. I know there's some differing opinions out there. Now, don't get me wrong. Is it important? Absolutely. Right. But a lot of that teaching processes, a lot of that within those again, this is PNC specific. Maybe it kind of can apply on the Medicare life and health side as well, but it's a little tedious, right, to go. But my time value, and maybe that's something to really, again, you're talking about work-life balance. My time value is more valuable than showing somebody how to quote. Now, will I review your quotes and make sure you're doing it correctly? Do I have a training library, a knowledge base that'll show you how to quote through all of our top carriers and the agency standards and all that? What I want to do as a leader, right? And again, this is my process. When somebody starts, the first thing I do, we get the contract going, right? So obviously make sure you have a contract with your people, right? So especially if you have a W-2 employee, make sure you have some type of producer agreement, whatever it is. I know 1099 can be a little bit different, but still you need something in writing, okay? And then the next bit, because this is the most important part when it comes to running a team, an organization, a business, is communication. So the next thing, I'm getting them into our teams. We're a full-blown Microsoft Office, so the whole package. But the biggest thing is our intranet, all of our channels, all of our communication, which again is how you can kind of delegate some of this, right? Is because you have other team members that are willing to hop in. If it's just one employee, hey, you're going to have to handle that. But having a direct line of communication to them has changed everything for us, right? Where they're not calling my cell phone. They're not sending me emails. They're not sending me Facebook messages. If you need something from Joe, you are messaging me on Teams, right? And I have Teams up all day because that's part of my job is, hey, I told them, we really believe in communication. And to me, it's when you have that quick little resource, and then ultimately when you start to really build, you have multiple people involved. It's, hey, I can hop on a show. I know for a fact we've already had multiple questions come through those chat rooms, and I have people that are able to come in and assist. Whether that's their job or not, that kind of more goes to culture, which I believe culture really manifests from that communication piece. Okay, so as soon as I get them right in the teams, but then here's the first thing. I don't go in. I'm like, you can go watch the training videos or anything if you want to get a head start. Another resource that you could use is the carriers. Now, again, this is obviously, I'm speaking to PNC. I'm not sure if it's on y'all's side as well.
Oh, it definitely
there is tons of pre-recorded carrier training within each of these carrier sites, right? Now, is it a little like monotone? And it's definitely a carrier training, right? But again, it's showing them that super basic stuff that, again, maybe is not worth, maybe your time is more valuable than that. Have them go use that. Reach out to your reps. Reps love to host training calls with your team. It's hilarious. Like, utilize that, right? That, or just have the recordings, do it yourself, and have them go through that. And then for me, next, real quick here, Tony, get them into teams, right? And then you got to do the mindset training. And when I say mindset training, is I am trying to figure out what their goals are. That to me is what removes all headaches of an employee. When I see Austin, when I see Jordan, when I see Hanky doing whatever, right? If I know the why behind it, his passion and the goals and everything, dude, it's a game changer for me. And really, again, being able to help ultimately the goals. I don't want you to be an employee forever, right? I want you doing your own thing. Or maybe, hey, there's a career path with me. I want to bump you up into management. So I'm always having that conversation. But that all starts with knowing what they actually want. Insurance is great. Okay, cool. Insurance makes the most millionaires in the world. That's why they're there, right? Why though? What's the why? Right.
It's not always why they're there.
Right. Exactly. So just really, again, uncovering that is the first thing that I do outside of getting them into those chat rooms. And I think the more you can communicate, you communicate so much that it's over communication, but then they can't say that you didn't communicate, right? And that's on us as leaders and as what called bosses to be able to communicate in that way. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, it's Caleb. Okay. What's up, Caleb?
In the Medicare space as well, there is a proliferation of training material that you can plug a person into as they're ramping up. Like, most of the people, if they're brand new with me and they're new to Medicare, regardless of what experience they have in the insurance world, if they're new to Medicare, it's about a 4 to 6 weeks training process. And some of that depends on how fast they're willing to consume the content. But it usually takes me somewhere between 4 to 6 weeks to get a dude ready to sell. So those first 4 to 6 weeks, like, it is all training, just drinking from a fire hose, product training, Medicare training, industry training, sales training, etc. And I'm fortunate that there is a ton of carrier info out there that I can just plug them right into the United Healthcare training. And then they probably have a webinar coming up if I want them to learn this specific aspect. So there's definitely no shortage of that. Don't be afraid to use that. And Joe had a great point on reps, and this is also true in the Medicare space. Get your reps tied in with your people. If you have local carrier reps or regional reps or state rep or whatever it is, get them tied in with your people, whether they have training material they can give them. And just like you said, they always love to come and do team trainings. And the big reason why, and this is true because I've seen it in both sides of the fence, wholesale and just agent force. As soon as that rep leaves, it's generally the most talked about topic, or their product, their solution is the most talked about thing among all those agents for at least for a little while, until it kind of filters back into status quo. So when I was at PSM, we had people that would come in all the time and do team trainings for us on their new dental product, their new this or that. And for the next 2 to 4 weeks, like, that's all we talked about because it was top of brain. We liked it. They excited us about it. And we went out and did that. So another great thing to do, even with your sales crew.
It's good. Let's go real quick. We got a couple questions, and I want to touch on what you said, Aaron. I saw your comment. Josh, resume matter to me? No. That's kind of more of a personal preference. I don't know. I think now it's kind of changing a little bit, right? But for me, like, I probably wouldn't ever get hired based off of my resume. Now, maybe, right? But me getting into insurance, they're like, you sold Zex North Carolina pulled pork barbecue at a farmer's market and mowed yards. And you did grunt work in construction. Like, I would never get hired into a professional space. And again, it's obviously shifted now in how we hire. For me, sometimes I won't ever look at it, but it is a green check mark for me if they attach one. I will never open one or read it. Or again, I think that could sway your opinion and just kind of really trying to recruit this person, right? When you start to look at a resume, because look at their past, right? And it's like, no, I just want to have a genuine conversation with them. But for me, it is definitely a plus. If you're applying for a job, it's like maybe have a resume, right? Even if it's a shitty resume. And I swear that was the last time I opened one. I was like, maybe I'll take a look. It's just a Word document, typos everywhere, whatever. I'm like, well, but at least you put one together, So I don't think those really matter, in my opinion.
I'd say it depends on the recruit, maybe what's the position or who is the person. Like if you don't know the person at all and they're applying for, say, like a W-2 type position within your office, an employed spot, I'd say a resume should technically come with it. That should be part of the package. If you're recruiting like me, or I'm already recruiting people that are in the business, then no, I'm getting that resume through my conversation with that person. Is this the type of person that I want to wholesale with and broker with, et cetera, right? And we're building that relationship by phone. If it's someone in your warm market, you probably already know that person, and that's why you're approaching them, or maybe why they're approaching you. And if it's your warm market, you already know the resume. Like you have history with that person. Like, I mean,
right.
I'm pretty sure my buddy's not watching the show, and if you are, I apologize. But one of my old best friends from high school that I've known my entire life called me and was like, "Hey, I want to get my insurance license. I want to come work with you. I want to learn from you. I want to do this." I'm like, "Great." And I treat them like I treat every new agent that comes to me and wants to go run their own gig in the insurance world. I'm like, "Here's where you go get your license. Call me when you get on the other side of that." And because I know this guy so well, I know he'll never go get the license. He'll just go get another job somewhere doing some other inside sales gig. He'll never take the risk, but I know that about him. So I can treat him in that same way. I'm still nice to him. I'm still happy to entertain him, but I told him, like, dude, don't call me with any questions until you get that license and come back. And then effectively he's out. But then there's other people, like, oh, this dude, I'm so excited that John's on board, man. I can't wait. I knew you'd be great for it, and get going. And as a recruiter, as an agency owner, as an employer, if you are recruiting and training and developing a team, I would highly encourage you to spend your own money and go to SWAT. Truthfully, you will learn so much about personalities and how to interact with people and how to understand your employees, your team, your people, that you'll be a much better communicator, a much better leader with them. There are other means. I'm not saying SWAT's not the only answer to learn that information, but it's probably easily one of the top ones, one of the best ones that you can get it in a 2 to 3 day intensive. Like if you're dealing with personalities and you're like, oh, Joni's not going to be a right fit for this administrative position because she's not green at all. She's actually very red. So maybe I should she's more for sales, right? Or whatever it might be. So learning personalities, learning how to communicate with people, whether it's the Myers-Briggs or DISC assessment or what you learned SWAT. And I would personally lean towards SWAT because it's more fun anyway, and it's geared towards insurance. That'd be a great way to train yourself on how to communicate and grow your team through understanding how to communicate with them.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a perfect segue because you need to know how to communicate people in order to invoke confidence. Aaron, I love that you said that because this is me, right? Kind of when I first bring somebody on, right, the number one thing, and I think confidence comes from, again, understanding, and we call it our house of dreams. A lot of you guys have seen our house of dreams, but really what is that thing inside of them that they are just called to do, that they want to do, right? And I think, when you see somebody walk into your office or you see somebody, hell, you even see somebody don't turn their camera on when they hop on a team training or a team Zoom call, right, or whatever, right? Or they're just kind of like this. It's because they haven't tapped into this, because they're not passionate, right? If you have somebody that's passionate, that's high energy, that's this, right, that's confident, it's because somebody has helped them unlock whatever this is. Now, again, insurance is, again, the best vehicle to get them to whatever that dream or that passion is, right? So they're sitting in the right vehicle, but we don't need to make insurance their passion. We just need to make it the vehicle that allows them to get to their passion and to their dreams and to their goals way faster than any other industry out there. And the numbers don't lie. The only thing is, again, we just got to keep them around. And so that's kind of what I want to pivot to the last, I'd say 5-10 minutes of the show is really how to keep them. And before we get to that, I think, Joe, you're spot on with this, man. Clear expectations. Tell them right out the gate, this is what it is. That's why I show them my projection sheet. This is what you're going to make based off of this and this. I will show you how to do it. I promise you. Coach Burt, right? I can't help you till you commit, but once you commit, I won't let you fail, right? But at the end of you have to be very clear with them right out the gate. And then Caleb, you won't have any headaches because they know exactly what is going to be expected of them when they come in the door, right? SWAT was amazing, absolutely. On Mr. Bryan,
Aaron's comment regarding confidence, your statement is 100% correct, but I take a little different approach in it. I feel like attacking their why and attacking that burning desire is more of their back end purpose that I can use to close their back door every time they think about quitting when they're losing confidence. But building confidence is ultimately on setting short-term targets that are easy for them to win in their early days. And you continually to expand those targets little by little by little.
Right.
But if you can get them to hit small wins as they're a brand new person and like, boom, whether it's their first phone call, it's their first 100 phone calls, it's their first app, it's their first 5 apps. Ooh, they hit the bonus metric, right? Build them into those metrics little by little as kind of a gradual process. That's going to build their confidence as they grow.
You're so spot on.
And ultimately, money. If you can show them how to make money, they're going to be confident.
Well, that's like, Austin.
I made more
that's
money
what we were talking about earlier.
Last year.
It's like the dude's first 2 weeks. Now, again, it's, hey, I'm showing them the plans. Okay, here it is. We're going through House of Dreams. I'm getting them into teams so they've got direct line of communication. I'm getting them into my systems, which is our sales pipe CRM, which is our phones, emails, automations, all that good stuff, making sure that's set up. There's knowledge-based training already built in within that CRM. So, guys, make sure you know how to use that. And then the next step is getting them on the phones. But before you get your people on the phones, don't get me wrong, it's fun to throw them to the fire, and you still kind of throw them to the fire. One of the biggest game changers with me and Amar was role play. I hadn't done it a couple times with a couple of our newer people. Now they were more experienced, whatever, but that was kind of my excuse. But I definitely wanted to do it with him because he's coming from cleaning pools, right? And I think role play was huge, right? To where you throw them, you give them multiple different objections. So right out the gate, they're already training themselves on how to overcome a no. And then I'm putting them on the phones. The number one thing for me, I just want to see as much activity in that first week as possible. And then, like you said, Tony, that activity, that 1, 2, 3, hey, is you just need to hit this every single day, and I promise you the rest will follow. And he closed like 40,000 in his first 2 weeks of being in insurance. And I'm like, bro, that took me 5 or 6 years to get to. And so, that check, right, when he's bringing home over $4,000 for 2 weeks of work, which was 2 months of work for him, he's like, oh, hell yeah, this insurance thing's pretty cool. But that's great. That's a flash in the pan. Insurance is cyclical, right? So then again, how do we really keep our people? And to me, I hinted on it very quickly earlier, is a career path. Are you talking to your people about how they're always going to just be your employee? Or are you offering, does your organization offer them something more than just sitting in that seat for the rest of their freaking life? I think that's so important. You need to give them something, some type of incentive, whether that's ranking up, maybe not necessarily. It doesn't always have to be associated to bonuses and monetary. Now, should there be some bonuses and incentive monetarily wise? Absolutely. But people don't want to be sitting in the same seat forever. Now, don't get me wrong. That's kind of a generalization. There are some people that, I have no problem being your employee. I don't want to deal with all the shit that you deal with. Can you just keep sending me leads and I'm going to keep closing and making money? Sure. You're going to find people like that. Not bad to have within. Not to have, but for me, that's not my ideal recruit. I don't want somebody that my goal is to get you sitting in the same seat that I'm sitting in because of what it's done to impact and change my life, right? And then likewise, and just rinse, repeat. Are you offering them a career path, y'all? Really? Are you? Right? And that's kind of my challenging question to you guys. And if you're not, why? Right. I think that's, again, we are called, especially anybody that's in our insurance syndicate group. You guys know what we are trying to build here. We as leaders are called to not just let somebody be mediocre and average for the rest of their life. Right. And I'm not saying that sales is mediocre and average, but when somebody's been in that seat for 10 years, right? And you look at, man, if they were sitting in my seat and doing what they were doing for the past 10 years, how much different their bank account would look, their family, their relationships, all that, their cars, right? And so again, I just think that's so important, because I see a lot of the times where it's, hey, you're coming in and you're just a producer. Can you produce and make me money, please? Right? Whereas like, hey, don't get me wrong, I want you to make me some money, because if I'm making a little money, you're making a lot of money. But then the goal is I want to be able to offer you a career path. Now, I'm not going to force something. Hey, at the end of year 3, you're going to be an agent owner, bro, and you better be ready to run your own business. It's more of, hey, what do you want? It goes back to that house of dreams, right? How often are we checking in on your people as their lives evolve, as they change, as they get better in their skill set improves in the industry? They're selling more, they're making more money. Are we checking in on them? Like, hey, what's the goal outside of money, right? We all know we want to make some money, but what do you really want out of this, man? Is it, hey, I want to manage a team, right? Or for Hanky, it was like, I want to run an entire service department and have like a shit ton of virtual assistants where we can go and just plug and play into agencies. And that's kind of part of he wants to be in that management role. Which you think about how I found him. How did I find him?
Management
Right? In pre-management into enterprise. So I always knew that I wanted to have him in that seat. Now, I will say Hanky was exposed to a lot more than your average person when we first started, just because we were bootstrapping it. We couldn't afford to pay him a salary to start. Now, obviously, he's salaried and everything. But again, it's really tapping into that and offering them a career path. And that's part of going back to Joe Christopher, what you were saying up top. Expectation, setting it clear and upfront. Hey, if you do this and you keep hitting this, man, like there are going to be opportunities for you to rank up or potentially, run your own business and make a lot more money than just sitting in the seat and taking referrals and that type of stuff. So I know it's kind of a little redundant there, but I just wanted to get that message across that we need to be, we should be called to be doing that. And I think that's how we really leave a lasting impact on this industry for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
No better way to build confidence.
Legacy, no better way to build confidence than small wins and put money in their pockets. 28 days of the month, some agents, they hate this business. They're like, man, I can't wait to get out of insurance. And that 30th day of the month comes, they get their commission check. And they're like, damn, I love this business. Can't wait to do it again.
Yep. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. He goes, and that's why I was sitting in your office yesterday, baby. I love it, man. And that was an awesome conversation. We did House of Dreams. We whiteboarded it out. We do opportunities, and then really, this is something too. We'll kind of close out on this, guys. When you're bringing people in, ask them what their opportunities are. So that's my next meeting. After this, we're popping to our virtual assistant meeting, and then I've got another training with one of our new in-house staff. Whereas, what are your opportunities? Right? What is around you? And honestly, what kind of book of business do you want to build? Right? That's based off of the clientele is going to be based off the opportunities. Get all the opportunities out there. And I tell people it's not a bad idea, right? It's just maybe it's the wrong timing, right? So let's get all of the opportunities out there. Not saying that that's not a good opportunity, but then let's just get 3. So then I take 3 of those opportunities. We prioritize those opportunities, and then we do kind of column out of how we're actually going to optimize and execute on those opportunities, right? And we back all of that into revenue goals and premium numbers and all that good stuff. So that's just another thing you can do with your team is what do you want to do, right? You like a bunch of classic cars? Okay, let's go find, is there anything in your event or in your community where they have events and stuff like that? And you can kind of go get your name out there. And so just things like that, man. So I guess with that, Tony, go ahead and close us out, man. I could just keep going on this forever. But we are 54, 55 minutes into this thing, man. It's been awesome.
I love team building. Team building's fun. I hope you guys got some tips out of that. One last thing I'll kind of leave you with, if you're building a team and you do team building activities with your crew, which you should. And this was a message one of my mentors gave me when I started to build a really big team before. He said, hey, don't screw up on Saturday everything you built Monday through Friday. And his message was, hey, don't go get shit-faced with your team on Saturday. You have to maintain there's got to be a certain little barrier between how loose you're willing to get in front of them, and still be that leader in the office. And I had to learn that the hard way. And I remember I lost several members of my team because that was exactly what I did. We would all work our ass off, and then we'd all go party down on Saturday night. And then be hungover Sunday or whatever. And then after a while, they're like, yeah, this is not what I'm looking for. And Merwin's not the right guy. And then once I realized that, like, oh, all the work I'm putting in Monday through Friday to grow this team and build it and do the production, and then I'm actually screwing it up on Saturday. So there's a little closing message for you. But other than that, man, thank you guys as always for tuning in.
Yep.
We love doing the show for you guys. We hope y'all are getting value out of it. As always, we are here every single Wednesday live at 9 a.m. and it's only going to get better. I promise you. We got a lot of things coming for you guys that are in development. They're in the works. They're going to elevate the level of not just this show, but all the shows that we put out in the syndicate. So we couldn't do it without y'all, and we really appreciate you guys engaging with us, giving us comments, giving us feedback. If you're not already subscribed to the YouTube channel, I'll say it again, get your butt over there and subscribe to it. It's just a quick finger click, and that way you can check out some of the other older episodes that we've done. Even though they live in the group, they're a little easier to find on the YouTube channel, and that's simple as just the Insurance Syndicate.
You can subscribe to YouTube channels even if you just had one hand, like how I botched that earlier. So it's my fault.
Yeah, you don't need two hands. You don't need two hands to sell insurance. You don't need two hands to subscribe to a YouTube channel. So, but you do need two hands to applause properly. We did learn that.
Hey, but guys, it is the peak of the week, right? And I'm going to leave you with this. Get out there and let people know what you do, right? Just talk about it. And I promise you, you're going to see an influx of those questions, of those intake forms, however you want to bring people in. Just let people know what you do. All right. And we appreciate you guys. Hope everybody have an amazing rest of your Wednesday. Keep killing it. And we'll see y'all next time. Thanks, guys.